Module Introduction. Welcome to Module 2 of the lecture on Economics of Planning. In this module, we build upon the foundational ideas presented in Module 1 by addressing the specific challenges and approaches to planning in developing and less developed countries. We will also explore the key theoretical models of planning and techniques used in real-world applications, before concluding with an in-depth case study of development planning in Nigeria. Let's begin with an analysis of planning in developing countries, DCs, and less developed countries, LDCs. 1. Development planning in DCs and LDCs. Developing and less developed countries often rely on planning more heavily than developed countries, due to structural deficiencies, historical limitations, and socioeconomic inequalities. The goals of planning in this context are more transformative in nature, targeting the very foundations of underdevelopment. 1.1 Characteristics of DCs and LDCs relevant to planning. Low per capita income. High population growth rates. Weak institutional frameworks. Limited industrialization. Dependence on agriculture and raw material exports. Inadequate infrastructure and services. High levels of unemployment and underemployment. These challenges necessitate deliberate and strategic planning to channel limited resources into priority areas and promote sustainable development. 1.2 Key planning challenges in DCs and LDCs. Data deficiencies, inaccurate or unavailable data hampers effective planning. Financial constraints, limited public revenues and heavy debt burdens reduce the capacity to implement plans. Institutional weakness, poor governance and bureaucratic inefficiencies hinder execution. Political instability, frequent leadership changes disrupt continuity of plans. External dependence, heavy reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment, FDI, can distort planning priorities. 1.3 Objectives of planning in DCs and LDCs. Poverty alleviation. Employment generation. Rural development. Education and health services expansion. Industrial and technological upgrading. Export diversification. Foreign exchange management. In many DCs and LDCs, national development plans aim to promote inclusive growth and reduce inequality by focusing on social investment, empowerment programs, and public-private partnerships. 2. Theories and techniques of planning. Economic planning does not occur in a vacuum. It is underpinned by a variety of theoretical models and practical techniques that guide decision-making, resource allocation, and policy implementation. 2.1 Theoretical approaches to planning. A. Classical growth models. These include models such as Herrera-Domer model, emphasizes the relationship between savings, investment, and economic growth. The model suggests that increasing savings and investment ratios leads to higher growth. Solow growth model introduces capital accumulation, labor, and technological progress. While not a planning model per se, it provides insights into the drivers of long-term growth. B. Dual sector models. Most famously, Arthur Lewes' dual sector model focuses on the transfer of surplus labor from the traditional agricultural sector to the modern industrial sector. It advocates for state planning to facilitate structural transformation. C. Input-output model. Developed by Vasily Leontiev, this model analyzes the interdependencies between different sectors of the economy. Planners use input-output tables to estimate the ripple effects of investments across sectors. D. Cost-benefit analysis, CBA. This technique helps decision-makers evaluate the desirability of a project by comparing its cost and expected benefits. Projects with positive net benefits are prioritized. E. Linear programming. Linear programming is a mathematical technique used in optimization. It is applied in planning to allocate scarce resources, e.g., land, labor, capital, efficiently among competing needs. F. Manpower planning. This technique estimates the labor force needed to achieve economic goals. It helps in aligning education and vocational training systems with anticipated economic demand. 2.2 Planning techniques in practice. Effective planning requires practical methods for prioritizing, implementing, and evaluating projects and policies. These include project appraisal, comprehensive assessment of technical, financial, economic, environmental, and social feasibility. Macroeconomic frameworks, used to forecast revenue, expenditure, inflation, exchange rate, and growth. Sectoral analysis, evaluation of priority sectors such as agriculture, education, health, and transportation to identify gaps and opportunities. Scenario planning, developing alternative policy paths based on changing internal or external conditions. Monitoring and evaluation, M&E ensures accountability and allows mid-course corrections to improve plan effectiveness. 2.2 Planning techniques in practice. Effective planning requires practical methods for prioritizing, implementing, and evaluating projects and policies. These include project appraisal, comprehensive assessment of technical, financial, economic, environmental, and social feasibility. Macroeconomic frameworks, used to forecast revenue, expenditure, inflation, exchange rate, and growth. Sectoral analysis, evaluation of priority sectors such as agriculture, education, health, and transportation to identify gaps and opportunities. Scenario planning, developing alternative policy paths based on changing internal or external conditions. Monitoring and evaluation, M&E ensures accountability and allows mid-course corrections to improve plan effectiveness. 3. Development planning in Nigeria. Nigeria provides a case study of a country with a long history of development planning, marked by a mix of ambition, challenge, and reform. Since gaining independence in 1960, Nigeria has implemented various national development plans, some with remarkable intentions but mixed outcomes. 3.1 Evolution of development planning in Nigeria. A. Pre-independence era. The 10-year Development and Welfare Plan, 1946 to 1956, was Nigeria's first formal development plan, initiated under British colonial rule. It focused on infrastructure development but lacked indigenous input. B. Post-independence era. After independence, Nigeria adopted a series of national development plans. First National Development Plan, 1962 to 1968, focused on agriculture and infrastructure. Second National Development Plan, 1970 to 1974, post-Civil War reconstruction, with emphasis on industrialization and reducing regional disparities. Third Plan, 1975 to 1980, introduced during the oil boom and was the most ambitious. It emphasized the diversification of the economy and import substitution. Fourth Plan, 1981 to 1985, faced implementation difficulties due to declining oil revenues and rising debt. 3.2 Structural Adjustment Program (SAP). In response to economic crisis in the 1980s, Nigeria adopted the Structural Adjustment Program (SAP) in 1986, with guidance from the IMF and World Bank. Its goals were devaluation of the naira, trade liberalization, removal of subsidies, privatization of public enterprises. While SAP introduced market-based reforms, it was criticized for increasing poverty and reducing social spending. 3.3 Vision Plans and Medium-Term Strategies. In the 2000s, Nigeria shifted from rigid fixed-term plans to long-term visions supported by medium-term expenditure frameworks, MTF. Vision 2010 and later Vision 2020 aimed to position Nigeria among the top 20 global economies. Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP, 2017 to 2020, developed in response to the 2016 recession. It targeted economic diversification, macroeconomic stability, and job creation. National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 focuses on poverty reduction, infrastructure, digital economy, and human capital development. 3.4 Institutional Framework for Planning in Nigeria. Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning, responsible for national plan preparation, coordination, and monitoring. National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, provides data essential for evidence-based planning. State planning commissions. Each of Nigeria's 36 states has its own planning body responsible for subnational development strategy. Donor agencies and development partners, organizations like the World Bank, IMF, UNDP, and AFDB offer financial and technical support. 3.5 Key challenges in Nigerian development planning. Overambitious targets. Plans often overestimate revenue and capacity. Political interference. Lack of continuity and shift in priorities with changing administrations. Poor coordination. Disconnect between national and state-level plans. Corruption. Weakens public trust and diverts resources. Low private sector participation. Limits innovation and efficiency. Implementation gaps. Many plans remain on paper with little tangible impact. 3.6 Recommendations for effective planning in Nigeria. 1. Institutional reforms. Strengthen institutions involved in planning and monitoring. 2. Capacity building. Train planners and implementers at all levels. 3. Public participation. Engage citizens and stakeholders in plan design and evaluation.